All right, you can see a copy of my book up here. I put the cover on these videos because I'm trying to peddle copies of the book. But here's a hardcover copy. Whoops, upside down. There you go. And here's the back of it. Now, why would I hold this up for you to look at? And how does that relate to the question that I've asked here? Should the old man hold his tongue? What about that? What do you think about that? What's appropriate language in a given situation and what is not appropriate? Here's the thing that happens with me. I go out speaking about the movie, or people find out, friends, neighbors, people at my church, whatever, hey, you wrote that book on A Christmas Story. I don't like it. I just had it happen today. I don't like that movie because of all that nasty language in there. And I say, oh, that's interesting. Okay, thank you. You don't have to watch the movie. I appreciate that. Maybe I would have done it a little bit differently myself. I don't know. But the language question is a good question. What about that language? Should the old man have used the language he does? Should Ralphie have used some of the language he does, especially after he gets the crummy commercial? You know what he says there. So why am I holding up my book to talk about this? I go to write a book about the movie A Christmas Story. And I had written chapters, longer chapters, and I was going into some depth on this based on my friendship with Gene Shepard, the story writer. And I run across a situation where I want to quote from the movie, and the language is not so good. What do I do? And I'm thinking to myself, what if somebody buys my book and they put it on the kitchen counter, and a kid comes along, and they like the movie, and they pick up the book, and they start reading, and they come across some of that language? What do you think? Now, maybe you don't think that's an issue, and that's okay. But I struggled with that, just as I would expect the old man would have struggled with what language he uses in front of the kids. Little pictures have big ears. Or when he goes down to the furnace, and we hear it all, though it's changed. Or when Ralphie's out there beating up, you know who, Scut Farkus. What a name. I love that name. Watch the video on where Shepard got that name, Scut Farkus, because that's so interesting. So I struggled. I'm admitting to you I struggled with this, and I finally decided that I would use some dashes in some of the key words rather than put all of the words in. If it was the Lord's name used in vain, I would put a dash. If it was not used in vain, I would still put the full word in there, and that kind of thing. And then I struggled with it. Why? Because I think we all in our lives make decisions about what language is appropriate. And that is one of the things that Gene Shepard, the screenwriter, dealt with when he was writing the script. He wanted to write a movie that would appeal to all ages. And yet, he wanted also to get across stuff that has to do with the adult aspects of life and the conflicts between adults and kids, and adults raising kids and the difficulty of using the language. He was not the kind of person that was running around using all kinds of nasty language all the time, which some of my friends think was true when they see the movie. Now, he could use some really nasty language, and he used nasty language to criticize me on occasion when he got really angry. And he believed that's what happens, especially with men, when they get angry, like with the furnace, or get angry with a bully. They let loose, and that language can become really nasty. So let me ask you the question again. Should the old man have used the language that he used? Watch this.
In the heat of battle, my father wove a tapestry of obscenity that, as far as we know, is still hanging in space over Lake Michigan.
What do we do with language in our lives and what was appropriate in the movie? At the time, they wanted that PG rating, and they couldn't use the real F word. Okay, fudge is just great there, isn't it? It's so much better than if they use the real F-bomb word, and to stretch it out, fudge. Now, when they actually shot the movie, Ralphie used the real F word, according to reports. I wasn't there, and and then of course they dubbed that in with the fudge and the slow-mo and all. Just wonderful. But what do we do? One life lesson in the movie, and from Shepard's life as he told these things to me, and one of the life lessons I develop in the book, is hold your tongue. Hold your tongue. What he meant by that was use language appropriately or fittingly. Not all language is right or fitting for all situations. I grew up in an area where there was a lot of working class people as well as beginning of the middle class. And I heard nasty language all the time. And when I started working in working class settings, like a printing plant that I worked in, I started to hear a lot of language that was really wild and took it to new levels. Maybe it was fitting there for just those guys to use in just that situation, depending on what the language was. But we need to learn to hold our tongue and to use the language that's appropriate in the right time, the right place. And that's part of what the movie is. And so it was done for the PG rating. There was no PG-13 back then, by the way. The F-bomb would have pushed it up to R, and that would have killed the youth market, the young market for it. And later, the movie became popular in part because it was rated PG and available in videocassette. The movie did not do real well at the beginning when it came out at the box office, but later in videocassette, and those videocassettes were available in stores like Blockbuster, and they were often by area, so they would have in Blockbuster an area that family movies, and there was A Christmas Story. And people would take that home and watch it as families, and that really helped kick the movie off and make it enormously popular. So you never know. Fitting language is actually a good thing. Holding our tongue can help us in life in all ways. At work, at home, in our neighborhood. Unless we really think we're macho and we need to use horrible language all the time. There are such people, and you've met them. But I don't think that's a good life lesson or a good role model. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like a copy of my book, I'll put a link down below. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel there too. And please, if you'd like a personal copy while I still have them, if there's a link down below, you can order a copy and I will sign it. Your friends and family will open the book and see it's signed just for them. In fact, tell me how to sign it. Thanks so much.